Welcome to Powered by Ground, our training on new home sales every week. Our motto is be trained by the professionals in the industry, and our goal is to bring people from this industry, whether civil engineers, builders, developers, investors, and train brokers in the space of new home sales. Our goal is that your business and my business can shift more and more into the space of new home sales. In our previous videos, you can look below, we talk a lot about why a broker needs to shift into this criteria and what it really does for your business in a long term if you keep investing into new home sales. So our motivational thought of the day is emotional intelligence. It is really important. A lot of people build intelligence with their mind, but there's also another category. It's called emotional intelligence, meaning you are developing emotionally as a person. If you look at the military, they train intellectually and then emotionally, meaning they want to see how far you can go before you truly break down, before you truly cry, before it truly hurts, before you're truly just at the bricks of giving up. And usually, it's the emotional intelligence that is always being assessed. Well, business is like a sport. It's like military. You're always overcoming obstacles to get to some goal that you have set before you. And you have to develop emotional intelligence. And I'll kind of go through the 4 categories of emotional intelligent development. The first is your social skills. You have to learn how to talk to people. You have to learn how to break into a conversation. You have to learn how to, within the first 10 seconds, make an impression of yourself with the people that you are working. Social skills. You have to maybe stand back and just be quiet. It's all about how you interact with people around you. Saying hello or smiling or frowning or however you interact, but it's your social skills. It's about decision making. A lot of people do not want to take on responsibility. A lot of people do not want to take responsibility because there is a repercussion after you take responsibility. So while you're taking responsibility by the hand, you're also taking responsibility for the repercussion, wherever it goes. If it goes for good, great. But if it goes for south, and a lot of people are afraid of getting criticized. So emotional intelligence is developing your social skills, how you're interacting with people. It's also developing decision making. How do you make decisions? And a lot of people make decisions based on their emotions. They like something, they buy it. A lot of marketing dollars are spent to emotionally attach a person to a product. And that influences their decision making. So you have to raise awareness in emotional intelligence about decision making. You have to be self-aware. What is self-aware? What is happening with me today, right now? What is happening with me if I drink, 5 ounces of coffee or 25 ounces of coffee? Self-aware. What is happening in real time with me? Am I tired? Am I not tired? Do I need more sleep? Do I need to drink something? Do I need to drink more water? Do I need to take a mile walk? Being self-aware of what is happening with you is emotional intelligence development. Showing empathy. Crying with those who are crying. If a person's sitting there in business and he's going bankrupt, you shouldn't be smiling. You shouldn't be laughing. You should be crying with the guy. He's going through bankruptcy. If the guy is excited and he just made a lot of dollars and invested into property and then he sold it and he made a lot, and he's excited, you should be excited with him. So you should always be interacting with people with empathy. People have challenging days, people have exciting days, people oftentimes are confused, sometimes they have to leave of that area of confusion. People in the people business, we have to develop emotional intelligence. We have to develop empathy. We have to look at situations and relate with people. In a lot of stories, and especially in business, you're going to meet a lot of people in different circumstances. That's what we teach on new homes, resale, and distress. And usually in the distress, you need to show a lot of empathy for people. They're trying their best. They made some poor decisions, just like we talked, decision making. These decisions have a repercussion. The repercussion is negative. Now they have to make new decisions, and they know the repercussions are still going to be negative again. So like by the time you help them make decisions that are going to be positive for their life, it's going to take some time, and you have to show these people empathy. And the last one is self-regulation or self-control. And we already talked about this. A lot is being pressed on our emotions to make a decision, but we have to reflect self-control, self-regulation. And if we take all of these categories in emotional intelligence and slowly start building them up. When I was a kid, I was very quiet and isolated. I had very poor social skills. But when I wanted to start to interact with people, I understood I have to have social skills. But what kind of social skills? You have people who are quiet, you have people who are loud, you have people who are angry, you have people who are nice, and now you have to develop, social skills around all of these categories of people that you're going to interact with. Why? Because that's what happens when you deal with people. You have to learn how to show empathy, cry with them, be excited for them, and so forth. So you have to have a lot of self-control when it deals with emotional and developing emotional intelligence. So that is the motivational thought of the day. Build emotional intelligence, that just like we're building often intellectual intelligence. We like knowledge. We like to gain knowledge. Knowledge gives you some level of power. Well, emotional intelligence gives you all of those great relationship building tools. Emotional intelligence, if you build it, your interactions between people, especially in sales, will increase because you're emotionally attaching yourself with people, not only intellectually, but emotionally. Last lesson, we talked about the exposure to the greater market. How do you and I get out of our comfort zone to the greater market? And I talk a lot about different strategies or different places or different groups that you can start to slowly join so you can come out of your comfort zone. How did I start? Maybe that would be a roadmap for you. I just called every single sign in town. If a broker has his sign and he has his phone number, might as well call him and talk to him. So I just called. I called this developer, I called that builder, I called that broker. I just called everybody that had to deal with new home sales. And I started to talk to them. Hey, you have a project here. Can you tell me a little bit about it? Hey, you have your big sign here on just a huge piece of parcel. What's the story about all of this? And so forth. I have a developer in town that I just drove by. It was probably my first year in real estate. I saw his sign. I called him. Never done business with him for the last 20 plus years. But we've built a really good relationship. He's a developer in town. He always tells me his stories. I learn a lot from him when the market goes up, when the market goes down, his interaction in the business, how he invests in other states, and so forth. I learned a lot from just talking to this developer. But that is the exposure to the greater market. This guy knows about me. I know about him. We're both players in the market. Will we ever cross paths? Maybe, maybe not. But it's okay. But I've learned a lot from just calling and being exposed to that sector of the market. So step out of your comfort zone. Step out. Start calling. There's plenty of signs in your small maybe town or your city or county where you just have a bunch of broker signs. They have people's phone numbers. Prospect everything. Everything. Prospect your clients, prospect builders, prospect signs. It doesn't matter. Just call everyone because you're in the business of exposing yourself to that new home sector. So go out there, make those calls. Introduce yourselves to those people who will complement you in building your new home sector. The lesson of the day. The lesson of the day is the life of a solo broker. We want to talk about what it means to have and be a solo broker. There's different categories. Once you get your broker license, then it's like, what do I do next? How do I survive? And so forth. A solo broker means that a broker is independent. He's just by himself. And we want to talk about what that entails when you are by yourself. What is the pros and what is the cons and so forth of a solo broker. So first, you have the independency and the flexibility. You do. And that is probably one of the things that you should use towards your advantage. A solo broker is not being overseen by a team or a company, or he's not on a payroll, so he's not on any wages. So a solo broker is really flexible. What does that mean? That means you can go explore. A solo broker should be exploring and just figuring out every single thing they can figure out. They need to explore for opportunities. They have the time to do it, and they have the availability to do it, compared to working on a team that has more defined structure. So if you're a solo broker, this is towards your advantage. You're independent, and you're flexible. So go door knock. Go sit in an inside sales office for 3 hours in a new home sales office. Just say, hey, can I stick around? Go down the community where the foundation is being poured and the framers, and just talk. Talk to contractors. If they're on break, get up and go talk to them. Interact with new home sector at every level. Talk to the roofer. Talk to the inspectors. Talk to the county inspectors. Talk to the electrician. You are flexible. Nobody is bounding you to anything. So go talk to people. You're flexible. You have the time. Second is client relationships. A solo broker must learn how to develop relationships with the client. What does that look like? You call the client once a day, once a month, once a week. How are you going to differentiate yourself from the rest of the brokers in the market? How? What is your unique approach? Are you going to drip something on social media? Are you going to drip something on emails? Are you going to make a YouTube once a week? Like, how are you different? How are you different than the rest of the brokers in the market? Then the workload and stress. Brokers, especially solo brokers, they're not used to a workload and they're not used to stress. So the thought process is you slowly have to develop your understanding that from day to day, from month to month, the workload is going to get bigger and the stress is going to get bigger also, because you're constantly learning new things. You constantly have to go explore. You constantly have to assess new things. And all of these factors are factors that influence your stress level. So you will have to learn how to process your workload and process your stress level. Then income and earnings. This is huge. Solo brokers are going to discover what it means to be paid via commission. That means you don't get a paycheck every Friday. That means maybe you don't get a paycheck end of the month. This means you're on commissions. That means your income is a direct result of how much you sell. And this is why solo brokers need to educate themselves as much as they can, because their income is direct results of how much or truly how well they can sell. Transactions is what makes us money. So if you can move people from clients to transactions to closings, this is what truly produces income. Then solo brokers have to study marketing. And you're going to say, this is so much. But yes, this is the life of a solo broker. This is the life. You have to learn marketing and branding. Are you going to market and brand yourself? Are you going to market and brand a company? It all depends on how you're going to slowly structure your business. And solo brokers do lack of support. This is not a team. This is not a company. Meaning, there's nobody to huddle. You are kind of on your own. And it is so important to think about how you are going to structure that relationship. There is no support. You are on your own. You will have to grind through things. I remember when I started as a solo broker, no support. You just gotta figure things out. I saw my income start to drop compared to the previous job I had where I got paid every 2 weeks. So I found that a solo broker is not going to get paid every week or every month. So the first time I got paid on a transaction, I was really excited. Why? Because I finally understood what does it mean to get paid via working as a real estate broker. But I had the independency and the flexibility. And this is what allowed me to be creative. This is what allowed me to structure my time. This is what allowed me to go and search out opportunities in my immediate market. So there are advantages and there are disadvantages of being a solo broker. And the reason we talk about the life of a solo broker is all of us in our career will have different seasons. You might start as a solo broker, work on a team, eventually decide to be a solo broker again. You might start as a solo broker, move into a team, and decide to build your own team, and then build your own company. Everybody has a different journey that they go in the real estate career. But what I could say is if you're a solo broker, you will have to slowly build out all of these criterias. Client relationships, understanding workload and stress, having some savings and income because you understand as a solo broker you're only commission paid. You start to understand about marketing and branding, and you have to understand how you work around how you have to work around the support that you're going to get. So today, and in our session, we talked about emotional intelligence, how we need to develop that, just like how we develop intellectual intelligence. We talked about our previous lesson, exposure to the greater market, how you and I have to get out of our comfort zone into the market and work our way through it. And we talked about the life of a solo broker. Why? Because all of us who go into real estate will have a season, or maybe we build our whole career around being a solo broker.